I'm Dan Acree, and this is Weekend Rewind, episode number 39. This week, we rewind 33 years to winter of 1988. We'll play the most popular songs on the radio that year, we'll go to the movies, and we'll look back at what everyone was watching on TV. It's all ahead over the next 3 hours as we remember the music and remember the good times here on Weekend Rewind.
Weekend Rewind
1988.
In 1988, radio was in love with Bon Jovi. They just couldn't get enough of those rockers from New Jersey. On the other side of the music fence, a guy named Rick Astley, Bon Jovi's neighbor on the charts, at number 5. Throughout the 80s, MTV made a lot of groups famous, made up a lot of money. Duran Duran was a favorite at MTV, and this was the group's 17th single, their 11th top 40 hit here on Weekend Rewind. On Weekend Rewind, it's Duran Duran, I Don't Want Your Love. Well, this is episode number 39. We made it all the way, and if you've ever wondered how important radio was to a band's success in the 80s, well, here's an example. Canadian rock band Sheriff originally released this next single in 1983, and it went to number 1. So what's it doing on the charts in 1988? Good question. A Milwaukee DJ started playing this song on his radio station. I think he just liked it. And even though it was 5 years old, it was new to his young audience. And it became a hit a second time in 1988 when Capitol Records re-released it. This is Sheriff, When I'm With You. The band Sheriff is not on any of those lists of bands that are, sort of certified power ballad performers, but I got to say, you got to put them right up there here. We're remembering the year 1988 on this week's episode of Weekend Rewind. That was 33 years ago. A former actor, Ronald Reagan, was president, had a year left in his second term. A small tech company started making its own brand of PCs. That was Dell Computer. They launched the affordable desktop. And on that new thing called the Internet, the first computer virus was distributed. Well, there you go. Early in the year at the Winter Olympics, Jamaica entered its very first bobsled team. No joke. The most popular toy for boys was the Transformers series of action figures. The girls got a Tasty Bake Oven. Remember, this was 1988. The number 1 movie at the box office starred Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. It earned over $500 million in today's money. Disney's Who Framed Roger Rabbit was at number 2, and Eddie Murphy had a hit with Coming to America at number 3. On television, NBC's top-rated The Cosby Show had an audience over 63 million viewers. That's more than any series ever in TV history. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, a hit song for a singer born in Vernon, Texas in 1936. He had 5 hits in the early 60s. Then, just weeks after his death, he scored again with his first hit in 25 years. That's coming up.
Dan Acree's Weekend Rewind. Dan Acree's Weekend Rewind.
So before the break, I told you about a hitmaker from the 60s who went to the top of the charts in winter of 1988, just weeks after his death. Roy Orbison was admired by some of the greatest names in rock music. And at the start of 1988, Orbison started a supergroup with some of his friends. It was called the Traveling Wilburys. It included, some names you might know, George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne. One of the songs the group recorded was You Got It. It was written by Orbison, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne. And it was released after Roy Orbison passed. It became his first hit in 25 years.
Every time I look, you got it.
Also on the Billboard Hot 100 that week, the aforementioned Traveling Wilburys. So there you go, Dylan and Tom Petty and Traveling Wilburys here. Hey, if this is your first time hearing Weekend Rewind, I hope you'll stay with us. We play hits from the 80s all the way through 1999, with a different year featured each week. My name's Dan Acree. I'm the host of the show. I'm glad that you're here sharing all this fun we're going to have today. Bobby Brown says he wrote this song in response to all the haters who were unhappy when he left the group New Edition. He wanted to go solo, but he got kind of a negative reception from all the critics and many of the fans. But here's what he did, and he got a hit. I gotta tell you, if he was mad then, wait until they started calling him Mr. Whitney Houston. Yeah, that got him. Bobby Brown here on Weekend Rewind. We're just having fun in 1988. And coming up after the break, we're going to go to the movies, going to give you some inside information about a song that became a hit in 1988 thanks to Tom Cruise and a movie about a bartender with flair. That's next.
Remember the music, remember the good times. Weekend Rewind. Remember the music, remember the good times. Weekend Rewind.
One of the most popular movies in 1988, right there in the top 10, starred Tom Cruise as a New Yorker on a business path who takes a different path. He ends up as a bartender at a Jamaican resort. Cocktail is the movie, but I want to talk about the soundtrack that featured a song, Kokomo, by the Beach Boys that went to number 1. We're going to play it. But wait, there's more. The insider story I'm going to share is who played the steel drums on that song. Are we going deep enough here for you? And for the past 30 plus years, that guy is John Stamos. He played drums with the Beach Boys on the concert trail. Yes, that John Stamos, the actor from General Hospital, ER, and of course Full House.
I loved the Beach Boys. I never even dreamed of meeting the Beach Boys, let alone play with them. And I went to a concert. A friend of mine was playing guitar. I went to a concert. I was on General Hospital at the time. I went backstage, like Mike Love turns to my friends and says, "Say, who's that?" You know, so that's John Stamos. He's on General Hospital. Always has girls chasing. And Mike Love, without missing a beat, goes, "Get him on stage."
Rewind, this is the time that Guns N' Roses used a synthesizer in a song. It was the very first time for the band. Paradise City is ranked on the list of 40 greatest metal songs of all time. Rockers White Lion toured with Guns N' Roses for the first time in 1988, and some say the band actually upstaged Axl Rose. That's what the critics said. The band's called White Lion, and the song is When the Children Cry. A big weekend rewind shout out to Jeff Miller in Connecticut, who's streaming the show today, and Wayne Benson down in Florida. Hey, Wayne, who started listening last month. Guys, thanks for spending time with us here on the show. Welcome back to Weekend Rewind. This is hour number 2 of episode 39. We're rewinding to winter of 1988.
Weekend Rewind.
You got the right stuff.
That's Maxi Priest and a song called Wild World here on Weekend Rewind. Last week's show, we played another version of that song. The song was originally done in 1971 by Cat Stevens. It was a big hit then, and it's been done again. Back from the first hour, it's Guns N' Roses, Back in the Jungle. Guns N' Roses, welcome to the jungle. Here on Weekend Rewind, peacefully coexisting with British singer Samantha Fox, who went to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 music chart.
Me again. Don't you know it's hard to keep a good woman down?
Gee, I guess it's true. Girls do just want to have fun. Coming up after the break, one of the year's top 10 box office hits was about having your wishes come true. But as they say, be careful what you wish for. I'll tell you why when we return.
Dan Acres, Weekend Rewind. Weekend Rewind.
Before the break, I told you that you should be careful what you wish for. In one of Tom Hanks' early movies, he plays a 12-year-old boy who wishes he was big.
Susan, I'm not what you think I am. Before I met you, I was in Little League, and I rode my bike to school, and I played with my friends and hung out with them, and
Josh, what are you talking about?
I miss my family, Susan, and I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
I'm 13 years old.
Oh, and who isn't?
In the Tom Hanks movie, his character thought being a grown-up was going to be just like paradise. On Weekend Rewind from 1988, it's Foreigner. By the way, Foreigner's back on the road, another sign that things are maybe getting back to normal after a very long year. The band's going to start touring again in May, opening in Orlando, Florida on the 19th at the Front Yard Festival. I'm not sure what that is, but I think it's going to be fun. The British band Breathe was on their second hit single from their debut album in winter of 1988 and took the number 3 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am today. We're going back to 1988. Coming up after the break, that part of our show when we pay tribute to all the studio rats and road warriors in the music business who hit the right spot once, but never again. Our one-hit wonders are next after the break.
From the 80s and 90s, remember the good times on Weekend Rewind. One hit wonders, yeah, on Weekend Rewind.
From deep below ground in my record vault, I brought up 3 songs that found themselves at the top of the pop music charts in 1988. Each one a certified Weekend Rewind one-hit wonder. First up, a gentleman I met in the early 80s when I worked for an amazingly talented vocal group, the Manhattan Transfer. Bobby McFerrin often appeared with the Transfer on stage. He was a master of his voice, and there probably will never be another one like him. So I want you to listen closely to this next song, a one-hit wonder. All of the percussion parts that you hear on this song were made with just his voice. They came right from his soul.
Don't worry, be happy.
Bobby McFerrin was a very kind soul, a very soulful guy. Everything you heard on that song came from his voice, from inside his soul. He was amazing. All right, coming up next, a guy born Albert Joseph Brown III in 1968. In 1988, he had a hit as I'll Be Sure. This is him right here. So sometimes it's really hard to believe that some of the songs we play are one-hit wonders. You go, so what happened there? All kinds of stuff. Johnny Kemp grew up in the Bahamas and started singing in nightclubs at the age of 13. He went on to have a successful career as a songwriter, but in 1988, he became one of the first new jack swing hit makers and a one-hit wonder with this one right here, Just Got Paid.
Getting down now. Getting down now.
Mr. Johnny Kemp and his one-hit wonder.
Be cool.
We're being cool, Johnny. Come on, man. So there you have it, this week's one-hit wonders. If you missed a song, title, or an artist on today's show, you can find a list of this week's songs on our website at weekendrewind.online. You can also stream this entire episode anytime you want. Just visit weekendrewind.online. Welcome back to Weekend Rewind, episode number 39. This week, we're rewinding to winter of 1988 to remember the music and remember the good times.
Weekend Rewind.
Well, if it's in the 80s, it must be Michael Jackson with his 6th top 10 single from the Bad album. Here's Steve Winwood, 4 hits from this LP. In that fall of 1988, Steve Winwood had himself a number 11 hit on the Billboard Hot 100, and right below him, just down the chart a little ways, was Scottish singer Sheena Easton. Had a number of worldwide hit songs, including one written for her by Prince. Now, she told a friend that on a secret date with Prince in 1985, he never said a single word all night. I don't know, man. Sounds like a dream date to me. In the world of television, when a show becomes a ratings winner, the network often creates spin-offs. They're called spin-offs. It's new shows that feature characters from that original show. And after the break, I'm going to tell you about an NBC sitcom that ran for 11 seasons. That's a long time. Producing versions for Spain and Ireland. That's next.
Remember the music, remember the good times. Weekend Rewind. Weekend Rewind.
Before the break, we were talking about one of network television's most popular shows that created a couple of spin-offs. One was called The Tortellis. No, I never heard of it either, but I found it and it's true. It was on for I think I did 5 episodes. The other was about a talk show psychiatrist named Frasier. That one you might know. The show that produced those spin-offs was Cheers, the story about a Boston bar where everybody knows your name.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. Where everybody knows your name.
Let's do it.
Here on Weekend Rewind, Def Leppard has been called hard rock, heavy metal, arena rock, pop rock, and glam metal. I don't think they like that one. The band started in 1977 and over the next 4 decades released 12 albums and charted over a dozen songs. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of the Weekend Rewind. If you'd like to get in touch with me, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you like about the show or what we can do to make it better. Send me an email to onair@weekendrewind.online. I promise I'll get back to you. So my associate producer, Jared Treadway, and I just talking here in the studio about how talented Phil Collins is and all the songs that he wrote. And as Jared said, yeah, he had a drummer. I said, well, he was a drummer. And Jared goes, yeah, can you imagine being his drummer? Well, good point. In 1987, singer-songwriter Roger Troutman put this together at a studio he owned in Dayton, Ohio. He gave the song a unique sound using a talk box effect. Radio liked it, people bought it, went to number 3 of the charts. Now, I don't, you can lie about it, but tell me you weren't singing as loud as you could during that song. I know I was, and if you weren't, I just kind of feel sorry for you. Okay, pop quiz. Who do you think made the best-selling truck in America in 1988? The answer is the same company that stayed at number 1 for 7 years in a row. That's not really an answer, is it? I'll tell you which brand bested all the rest coming up next.
Best of the 80s and 90s. It's Weekend Rewind. Danny Grease, Weekend Rewind.
Before the break, I asked if you knew which company made the best-selling truck in America in 1988. It's the same Detroit company that produced the top seller for 7 years in a row.
America's best-selling small pickup. America's best-selling full-size pickup, 10 years running. Just part of the most successful line of trucks in America. And while these trucks are obviously tough, guessing who makes them is easy. Ford.
Winning the world over. Have you been behind the wheel? Winning the world over. Have you driven a Ford lately?
In 1988, if you were shopping for a new Ford F-150 half-ton pickup style side, you could expect to pay a base price of just under $11,000. Yeah, not so much today, huh? On the Weekend Rewind, Mike and the Mechanics taking us to church here on episode number 39. Now, this song was originally written for a country music artist, but Rod Stewart heard it and he called dibs on it. Well, he was a star, he could do that. He put it on his new studio album and it ended up being his highest charting release that year. This is My Heart Can't Tell Me No. So I mentioned that Rod Stewart stole that song, borrowed the song from a country music artist who was all lined up to record it. The record company said, I think we're going to give this to Rod. But it's funny, when you hear a Rod Stewart song, after you hear him sing it, you can't imagine anybody else singing it. And that's why you're a big star, I guess. If you're keeping score, 1988 was a good year in sports. In the World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers took the win 4-1 over the Oakland Athletics. In golf, the U.S. Open was won by Curtis Strange. Sandy Lyle took home the green jacket from the Masters. And the 7th playing of the PGA Championship was held in Edmond, Oklahoma. Jeff Sluman won the only major title of his career. At Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, the Washington Redskins beat the Denver Broncos 42-10, led by MVP Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That's our show, 3 hours of the biggest hits from winter 1988. Next week, we do it all over again when we rewind to 1984. If you missed any part of this week's show, you can stream a replay of the entire episode at our website. Visit weekendrewind.online, then click on Episodes on the menu. Thanks to our executive producer, Jason Taylor, associate producers, Jared Treadway and Christy Rothrock, and our trusty research assistant, Kayla Tran. I'm Dan Acree, the host of the show, and I appreciate your spending time with us. If you'd like to get in touch, send me an email to onair@weekendrewind.online. Until next week, please make time to create new memories with the people you love and care about.
Remember the good times.